out there tonight?
Whoa. You stumped me now.
Check out our website, mannimalresearch.com. Thanks to everybody. Hello. How's it going out there tonight? Hope everyone is doing well. Glad everybody could be here. Those of you that will catch it live, hang out with us tonight live, and those of you that will come back and catch it later, we absolutely appreciate your support. And everybody, don't adjust your screens there. That hungry fella beside me, that's Walls. He is here tonight. He's gonna grace us with his presence, and I don't know why throughout 24 hours of the day he can't find other time to eat other than the hour that we do this show. I don't know, but fill us in on that, buddy. Why is that?
Because supper time's at 7, not 8.
Supper time's at 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know it's 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah, but that's spring forward. I don't care for that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess everybody just wants to tune in and watch your man. Didn't your mama teach you to eat with your mouth closed?
It is closed. Supposed to be not talking with your mouth full. But it ain't full.
Well, practice that. Keep your mouth shut for a minute.
I know where you live.
I sure am glad you're back, though. Maybe you can join us this Thursday.
You'll be able to.
What's been going on with you, buddy?
Just work.
Got a birthday coming up.
No, not really.
Not really. You either have a birthday coming up or you don't.
I do, but I don't talk about it.
You don't talk about it?
Mm-mm.
Was it, well, the 19th or something like that this month?
Yep. That's when I turned 14.
You ain't been out in the woods or anything? Or you ain't had no time, have you, as much as you've been working?
No. Just been work's been picked up a little bit, especially local runs. Been keeping me busy. I had 3 loads cancel on me, so try to get something for more. So, yeah.
Very good. All right, we got Sharon hanging out with us, Detroit Daniel, Greg, member of ours, member of Mannimal, Mr. Greg Smith. Hey, what's up, buddy? Scottish Wildman is in here. Got my dad.
Yeah.
Blake. What's up, Blake? My little buddy Blake. I miss you, man. Anyway, let's do all this, get all this good stuff out of the way.
Which one's your dad?
My dad, he's on the Facebook side. Can you see the Facebook users?
Okay.
That's one of them that says Facebook.
I got you.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. We sure would appreciate it. We're continuing to grow, coming up on 1,200 subscribers on YouTube. Getting there slowly but surely. Yep. And it's all because of y'all guys. We appreciate everything you guys do, all the support you give us. So hit that subscribe button and tell your friends and family to do the same thing. And when we are done tonight, head over to mannimalresearch.com. You can get some information about our group over there. You can report your encounters, your sightings, things that go on with you, things that have happened to you in the world of crypto and oddities. What's up, buddy?
Have you been able to talk to Keith lately? He's got his mom has an encounter.
Who's Keith?
Our Kenneth? Yeah.
Kenneth. No, I ain't talked to Kenneth in a while. What's up?
His I believe it's his mama had an encounter. Remembers an encounter that she had a long time ago when she was younger.
Yeah.
And to put it once you get it on the show and everything, get it in the Mannimal Encounters.
Oh, so, sweet.
He told me a little bit of it. It's pretty convincing what's going on. I mean, it's pretty cool. So
sweet.
I have to reach out to him, see if we can get her to
Yeah,
I
I
told you
talked to Keith, from time to time. He and I stay in touch, and he ain't said anything to me about that. But I hadn't talked to him in about a week or so. So
it was
yeah,
it was when I was driving Thursday.
okay,
I
yeah, I'll talk
called
to
and
him about
picked me up.
that. Good deal.
Yeah.
All right, guys, like we were saying, Mannimal Research, report your encounters. Get some information on getting out in the woods, doing your own research. Maybe even becoming a member of Mannimal. We can talk to you about doing that as well. So yeah, guys, after we're done tonight, or whenever you get a chance, run over to Mannimal Research and check it out. Also, we are on Facebook, Mannimal Research on Facebook. Head on over there and join our group. And like always, guys, with our guest tonight, we actually have a witness tonight that come on, going to share some of his encounters. We got Joe with us, Joe from Indiana. And feel free to ask Joe some questions, but if you do so, please put them in all caps so that we can see them and get to them. I got my buddy Walls with me tonight that helped me stay on top of the questions and maybe be a little better about getting those asked. And just like Walls was talking a little bit about, Mannimal Encounters, we've got a few installments of that already out. It seems to be doing well, getting some good feedback on it. So, guys, we need some more encounters sent in, though. So, if you don't mind, send those encounters with Bigfoot, Dogman, UFO, paranormal, other cryptids, chupacabra, whatever, all your weird stuff. Send it over to mannimalencountersencounters@yahoo.com. We would love to share those with the people. So, yeah, guys, certainly appreciate that. Also, we'll do it again. Give another shout out to our buddy Michael Payton. Michael is the one that makes these necklaces. I'm wearing mine. Walls, you ain't got yours yet, but I haven't taken this one off since I got it. And he sent me a painting too. That when I get to the new studio in a couple weeks, new studio area, I'll have it in the background so we can display it a little more. But he is an artist and he sells these necklaces. He sells his paintings. Very, very talented guy. He said the best way to get in touch with him is on Facebook Messenger. It's Michael Payton. Or you can email him directly at newlifediamonds@yahoo.com. So, guys, show him some love. Because none of us are getting rich off this stuff, but if there's a way to make a little bit of extra money off of talent, then we support that. You guys, help him out. All right, all that out of the way. Like I was saying, we have a gentleman tonight coming to us from Indiana. Has pretty cool stuff happen. He is actually ex-law enforcement. He is a previous police officer, and we'll be talking a little bit about some stuff that he encountered while doing that, and also some of his personal experiences. I've been talking to Joe for a little bit now. Seems like a really, really good guy. I'm glad that he was willing to come on, and this is his first time on a show sharing any of his stories. So you guys get to hear it first. Just the first ones to get to hear it. So glad that he's chosen here to do that. But if you're welcome, buddy, we'll just go ahead and bring him on.
Yeah. Let's see. I want to hear what some of the encounters he's got.
Joe, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Doing well. We talked you up a little bit. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and whereabouts in Indiana you're from.
Well, I actually live almost the southernmost part of Indiana, in Vanderburgh, outside of Evansville. From where I'm sitting, I'm about 35 minutes from Spotsville, Kentucky. I know that story. So, kind of in a hot spot, away in Kentucky. We're sandwiched right in the middle of it. So it's interesting.
Okay, now your first, if I'm not mistaken, your first encounter was years ago, and it was in Illinois. Is that correct?
Yeah, Gallatin County. There's down the river bottoms. My father took me hunting, and I had heard stories like there's a little town called Griffin, Indiana. Far from there, I went to high school across the river. The guys had talked about the Squatch up around Griffin, down around the river bottoms. I never really thought much of it. Well, yeah, so we went hunting one morning, and I'm sitting up in my stand, and it was the sun was coming up. It wasn't full light. It was getting that purplish color, and there these deer just come running underneath me. I've never seen them act like that before. And I'm just watching, like, and then something just walked right up underneath my tree stand with two legs, and it was a lot bigger and hairier than I was. I mean, I couldn't get a real good look at it, but I could tell it looked like it was almost shaggy or had a ghillie suit. And it looked right up at me and just kept going, wasn't making a sound. And went over a ridge and took off, and I just kind of sat there dumbfounded, not exactly sure what I'd seen. When I was a kid, I'd watched Boggy Creek, and I'd seen Harry and the Hendersons, and this reminded me of. And it was an interesting situation. I kept it to myself and never didn't speak about it for years to come. But regardlessly, I never went hunting again. They're pretty scary. Good. So,
And how old were you when that happened?
I was 15 at the time. I'm getting ready to be 45 now, so it's been close to 30 years ago.
Okay, wow. Wow. And so you were around 15, and that was your first encounter. Leading up to that, what was your knowledge of the subject of Bigfoot, and were you a believer?
And not at the time. I said, I mean, I'd seen movies and things like that, and some guys at school had talked about it. But I was like, yeah, I just kind of just dismissed it. Like, yeah, there's no such thing real. I don't believe in aliens and ghosts and any of that stuff. Like, yeah, it kind of set me down a different.
Okay, hey Joe. We just got a comment from one of our listeners saying they're having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. Is there any way you can get a little bit closer to your microphone?
Yeah, I certainly can. How's that?
Guys, let us know if that's any better. Mr. Duffy, I appreciate that, buddy. All right, go ahead and keep going with your talking, and we'll get him to let us know.
All right. But I mean, yeah, I mean, where that all happened too, it's so secluded down there. There's not much civilization. I mean, it's just miles and miles of bottoms and woods and fields. And it was pretty interesting. I'd heard a couple stories coming out of there years later, but things like that aren't really widely reported around here. I get my finger out of frame. But yeah, that was the first time. Then the second time was a little more intense. So if you're ready, I'll go into that one as well.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy. And this one, now this is the one that happened in Indiana. And how long after that first one was this one?
It was 19 years. It was back in 2010.
Okay.
July.
Okay.
And well, I was a police officer up there, and I was off duty, and I had just moved in with a buddy of mine. And the property they live on is very secluded, quite a few, several acres, and just out in the middle of nowhere. It's nice, quiet. Never really had any problems out there. I'd visited several times, and before I moved in, I'd been out there about 3 weeks to a month. And my buddy got called away on business. I had a day off, and I'm on things, and just start getting that feeling in the back of the neck, where just something's not right. Like I feel like I'm being watched. And that place is, I might get to it later, but it's got an old cemetery on it they just took the headstones out and left it. So it kind of had a creepy feel anyways. But just sitting there packing stuff up and just trying to relax, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And later on, I finally chilled out and sitting there watching TV, and a rock bounced off my window. I mean, I jumped out. I was what? Not used to it. I grabbed my 12 gauge and stepped out on the porch, and the way the yard is clear, and then it's tree line, just woods and woods and woods. And I backed around into it because we'd had trespassers and meth cooks and stuff like that out that way. And whatever it was hunched down. It stood up, and I'm standing on this little stoop. It's probably my height with that, probably around 9.5 feet. And this thing was looking me eye to eye, about 30 yards away in the tree line. And we just, with little light we could, we just kind of stared at each other. It seemed like it forever. He snorted at me. He's some kind of nasal, and just turned around and just walked back into the woods. Just, I could hear him knocking down trees and brush and everything being kicked up. He was being pretty clear that he knew that, letting me know that he was gone. You know, like, hey, I know what that is in your hand. Please don't take a shot at it. Regardless, say I didn't sleep all that night, and I decided to get up and go to the station, get something a little heavier than that 12 gauge, just in case. And I had happened to run into one of the sheriff's deputies I'd worked with closely, and we got to talking about it. And I figured he's gonna laugh. He's gonna laugh at me. He's just gonna never let me live this down. But he'd actually been in my area because of a prowler. And he asked me, he's like, man, did you see anything? I was like, well, and I told him exactly what happened, and he didn't seem surprised and didn't rip me too hard. And he was like, you know, this guy, he kind of comes out now and again, every now and again. He asked me, he's like, you didn't take a shot at him? I was like, no, I really didn't feel threatened by him. I was just kind of taken aback. You know, apparently he's been around a while, and the local law enforcement knew about it. But I was a city guy, so I didn't really play around in the county too much. But yeah,
That's really cool. So
Yeah.
another police officer was aware and didn't give you any grief about what you told him.
No, he was real laid back about it. We'd had discussions about, you know, ghosts and stuff like that. Spencer County, where I was, it's got a lot of weirdness to it. You know, we discussed like big cats down on the river bottoms and such like that, things that he'd see, but never really got on the subject of Bigfoot. And then when we brought it up, we talked for a good half an hour, 45 minutes. We didn't really, after that, we didn't really bring it up a whole lot. But yeah, he kind of filled me in on this and that, and a couple encounters that he had. But and he was like very sure he didn't take a shot at him. I was like, no, I didn't shoot at him, I promise. So I don't really think
Okay,
about
now,
it.
if I heard you correctly, you said that this area that you were on was an old graveyard or cemetery?
Yeah, on the property, I still visit this property, by the way, but there was an old church, and there was an old cemetery. They just removed the headstones and take everybody out. The house that my friend lives in, it's about 20 years old now. I've never experienced anything like directly. I mean, there was cold spots in the yard where there shouldn't have been. My youngest daughter's 13 now. It's the first time that I had got to keep her overnight. We were coming home. It was late, and she was like 2 or 3, and we popped the hill where that cemetery is, and her eyes popped wide open. And I can see her in the river looking around, and she just said ghosts. Like, what? And I grabbed her and ran in the house like I didn't know anything about it till after the fact. And then a few years later after that, my buddy calls me up and he's freaking out. He's like, man, he goes, I think I just ran somebody over. I'm like, what? Did you call the cops? So there's no damage to the car. He goes, I popped the hill where the cemetery was, and there was a lady standing out of the 50s. I went right through her. Like, did you get out and check? He's like, yeah, there's nothing. And just weird. That particular area, there's been a lot of weirdness up there.
That's crazy.
That county is, it's got a lot of weirdness to it. I mean, I practically grew up there, and I've seen all kinds of weird supernatural things that I can't explain, or felt things like, wow. But
Now, I found it really interesting that you talked about your encounter, that this last one that was so intense, happening in an area where there was a graveyard or a cemetery. Because, Walls, how many reports do we get about Bigfoots in cemeteries?
Quite a bit. And we've even got our own encounters.
Yeah, we've had our own encounters with cemeteries, and plus this one, you said the tombstones had been removed, so there's no indication there. There's nothing telling people that it was a cemetery. Yet it's purely speculation on my part. But it seems like, you know, the Bigfoot might have known that it was a cemetery even without the markers. You know, does that make any sense?
yeah, well, one of the little other things about it, on the property, my friend's family, they bought their house on their parents' place. They've been up there for 40 years, and there's a lake on the property with a man. I'm still trying to find a picture. There was a stump that had been carved into the head of a gorilla or a Bigfoot. I remember seeing it. And I talked to his parents about it. I was like, do you guys know whoever lived there before us had carved this head out? It, a gorilla or it's a Sasquatch. I remember. I can send it to you. But it was nobody can explain where this thing came from. And
Wow.
yeah,
Is it like a totem pole?
yeah, but it's not a totem pole. It's just one big head. I mean, it doesn't have anything else carved in it. I mean, it's only about 4 feet off the ground and maybe about 2 feet wide. But it was a gorilla's head. I went and looked for it last week and I couldn't find it. So we're gonna try to look from the water because it's very overgrown through there. Stickers got me pretty good.
Yeah.
But there was that. A buddy of mine that I just met this year, he had an encounter which, from where I was at, maybe about 5 miles. He was telling me he got his truck hung up. This the Gentryville River bottom. He'd got himself hung up late at night, and didn't have a choice. Was walking back. Cell phone was a real spot out there. He said something pasting him on the way back to the house, and I was scared to live in daylights out. So there's been quite a few in that area, not just with mine. So
Yeah. Now, have you heard any reports in that area of anything other than Bigfoot? I know you've talked a little bit about some paranormal stuff, but have there been any like Dogman or any reports like that?
not in that area. Not in that area. It is. When I was a police officer in Rockport, that's a pretty old town, and there's a historical home that lives up on the bluff in town. And the people that own it, like the winter, like the Carolinas, I think. And we were coming, me and my partner were out running around. It was about the time. Well, when it rains a whole lot, it's got the bad problems, alarms, burglar and fire. And we got the call and went up there and looked around. Nothing really disturbed, and I had to look through these big French doors, and it looked like the Predator when it was cloaked in his thing. Was just standing there staring at me. I got up to the ice flat and I grabbed my dude. I said, "Yeah, we're out." I called dispatch off the non-recording line. I said, "Yeah, I won't be taking any calls." It felt the hair coming off the back of my head. A lot of different reports, not just cryptids, like a lot of supernatural things.
Hmm. Now, I want to go back to this last one that you had. How I'm sorry if I'm flip flopping back and forth. I just had these questions that pop into my head. How far away were you from that creature? You said it stood up and it was about eye level with you, about 9 foot off the ground. How far away were you?
I'd say about 30, 40 yards.
Did you smell anything?
No, I've actually thought about that. I know a lot of people smell things. And both my times that I've had encounters with it, I haven't smelled anything.
Yeah, and that's something else that's really interesting about these things is not every report you read or you hear you get someone talking about the smell. We've been on several expeditions ourselves, and I feel like we've been close at least one. I know at least once, but a couple of times we've had these things in our area, and I've never smelled anything either. So I feel like I don't know what are your thoughts? You think maybe it might be kind of like a like a secretion of some sort because some gorillas give off an odor when they're anxious.
Like a pheromone or something.
Yeah, something like that.
To be honest with you, I don't really know, but I would put it past it. But
Yeah,
none of me know.
and exactly. None of us know anything for sure, so it would be speculation. But that's kind of what I think. If some people are smelling this stuff and some people aren't, it's almost like they can control it.
Yeah. Well, it could all be like a wet dog, or you never know.
Yeah. Now, eye shine. Did you see any eye shine and what color?
No, I didn't have a flashlight. I just kind of, it was like
Okay.
just off the porch, like, and the first time, yeah, it was, I saw a reflection coming off the light. It wasn't direct light going into the eyes. So, yeah, I didn't really see it.
Okay, yeah, we got someone saying that it's think it's a defense mechanism. I kind of agree with that a little bit. Now, in your time as a law enforcement officer, did you ever take any calls from anything that could be Bigfoot or cryptid related?
We took a couple prowler calls outside the, but that could have been anything. My time when I was in law enforcement, the meth situation was pretty bad. So we were running around not just dealing with that, people having drug induced paranoia. I had one call, we got sent out for aliens on the apartment next door that were watching somebody and their child. Didn't see anything, but we had to search the house. Like, had to look under all the beds and check the closet, things like that. And, we didn't find anything.
Alien.
Yeah. Now, when I
Wow.
left, I went and worked in another county just right across from Spencer County. My department was right on the interstate, right beside Hoosier National Forest. And I didn't have any calls related to it, but we'd have a lot of traffic. We'd have accidents, we'd have people broke down, and I would go out there and help. Usually, I was the only officer in the area. State up or something like that. County was on the other end. On several occasions, I'd stop people and just, are you okay? And I'm so glad you're here. Seems like there's something over there, and they're up and pacing in the woods. And, like I said, I didn't see a whole lot of anything, but it always kind of gave me a scary thought there if I'm working on, trying to change a tire, such like that. But I myself never saw anything. But like I said, more and more occasion, everybody feel like there's someone out there. We're being watched. Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting some kind of feedback or something on your phone. It seems like it might be skipping a little bit.
Yeah.
Are you holding the phone?
Yeah.
Okay. It seems like when you. There you go.
Yeah. Just wanna
Is it
yeah. Is that
is
better?
that okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you? Okay.
Yeah.
We got a question here from one of our good buddies, Mr. Daryl Owen. That's a really good question. As an officer of the law, have you ever been asked to keep quiet about yours or others' account? Maybe you can't go into
Well,
that, but
I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you. No, a few times I've been asked for to hold anonymity and stuff like that, but that really wasn't related to this line of talk. I mean, it might have been other things, but no, I mean, I didn't really deal with these things in law enforcement. These weren't regular occurrences that involved my job. I saw weird things in the course of my duty, but very rarely would we get a call about it and check it out. But I never had to not say anything about in regards to cryptids or natural.
okay. Now, do you get out in the woods much anymore, or has these encounters affected you in a way that you don't want to?
Oh no, as often as I can, I try to get out, go hiking and
Oh, really?
explore some
Okay.
different. Yeah. Uh,
Are you currently looking for the big guy, or what are you doing?
uh, Tentatively, we're gonna. I've got some friends coming from up north. My buddy Shane and some of his guys are gonna come, and we're gonna do a little walk around, not anything really intense, and then we're gonna probably do a paranormal investigation on the property. Um,
Okay.
I've actually I visit the property quite often. Like I said, my best friend, his wife are like family. And I was actually just up there a few days ago. Um, it was last September. We were out hiking around and just kind of exploring. and something was out there with us. I got hit in the shoulder with a wall, and it didn't fall. It was strong. And I had my Glock on me. I've had problems out there, not just with Sasquatch, but with trespassers and meth cooks years past. So I make sure I racked around, whatever it was, it took off through the woods. A friend of mine, we went and camped out in early November and had an encounter with a tree. One coming from northwest and like 45 minutes southwest. Once that other one had moved on, the coyotes actually started piping up. I guess whatever it was had moved out of the area. It was pretty. But we're going to try to go back down there and check it out. We've got a lot of rain. This is all right there on the bottom, so it's really hard to get around.
Now, have you had heard a lot of vocalizations on that property?
No, I haven't. Like I said, the couple that still live there, they hear things they can't explain. But I'm not usually there after dark very often anymore. But they'll still get encounters. They'll be sitting out in the morning, drinking their coffee before work, and they can hear something crashing through the woods.
Wow.
Playing it.
How much property are we talking out there?
I'd say a couple hundred acres.
Oh goodness, they got room to run around, don't they?
Well, from where it's at right there, there's a whole lot of area that you can run. Maybe have to cross a road here or there or a field, but there's not out that way. And it's
have they? What's that? Go ahead.
Yeah, Hoosier National Forest is only about 25 miles from there, and that's from what I understand, that's a hot spot for dogman and Bigfoot sighting. I've never had one myself, but
yeah, I'm not real familiar about Indiana as far as Bigfoot activity. I used to be a huge Colts fan, so I've been to Indiana. I went to Indianapolis one time when they were playing at the RCA Dome. I went years ago and watched my boy Peyton Manning light up the Bills several years ago. I was a huge Colts fan, but it's the only experience I've had in Indiana. And is Indiana a pretty forested state? I mean, how rural is it?
it's pretty rural. It's if it's not town, it's woods or it's river bottoms or it's fields, and for the majority of the most part of it.
So is
our biggest hot
Indianapolis?
spot right now.
Indianapolis is probably the biggest city, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's the biggest city.
Okay, you were saying about the biggest hot spot?
It's actually not too far from Indianapolis. It's in what they call Monroe Forest. It's probably about an hour and a half from Indianapolis. I've been there back in the 90s when I was living in Bloomington, but they get sightings all the time. I haven't been lately, but they've said that you can't go out there without stepping over Bigfoot researchers. But that's where we've had the most of sightings. It's actually part of Hoosier National too, but it's the north end rather than the south.
Okay, Walls, you're being quiet, buddy. You got anything for Joe?
Have you? I don't know. Doing the internet, Indiana. I know where you're talking about pretty much because Indianapolis is pretty much the biggest city in the middle of Indiana. In the areas he's talking about, I actually know that there's a woods there because going up through 41 up to Chicago. So they ain't. You're hitting on everything. I mean,
now you said are you in South Indiana?
Yeah, I'm in very far down southern.
So you're close to Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm about 15 minutes from the Kentucky right now.
Now, how far? I believe that's still a pretty good ways from the LBL, right? Land between the lakes.
Yeah, LBL is about an hour and a half, 2 hours from here.
Okay.
It says, yeah, Spotsville's not far. Mammoth, they had an encounter maybe 2 years ago.
Mammoth Cave, yeah, I remember hearing about that.
You're talking about Scottsville, Kentucky, right?
I'm not not sure what town it is. I just know its name. I haven't got to go visit yet, but yeah, like I said, Kentucky and Illinois are right there. Kentucky's out. And I mean, Spotsville is 25-minute drive from where I'm right now. Actually, we're planning on a buddy of mine owns property down there. We're going to go down, try to film, look for any signs, see if that thing's still down there.
You ever been down to the LVL?
Yeah, about 10, 15, 20 years ago. Camped out for a night. A buddy of mine had a killer.
That's not terribly far from us. I think LVL is just a little ways north of Nashville. And I'm about 2 hours south of Nashville, down in Chattanooga. And Walls and I have talked about, we hadn't talked in a while, about putting something together, heading up to the LBL. I heard somebody talking about it again today. Man, I don't know if I'm ready for that area. There's some crazy stuff going on in there, from what I hear.
Yeah, I've heard a couple different accounts about the massacre. I guess that happened back in the '90s, or portrayed, supposedly by. I do recall there was one that wasn't not too far from there, and Dixie Cryptid covered it, where 2 young men got torn up in the area too.
Really? When was that?
I know I saw the video about 2 years. I'm not sure. Well, as it went, there had been some Boy Scouts camping down that way, and they had reported that something big was out there. They ended up not getting any sleep and huddling together. And then a few days later, these guys had been mountain biking across the country, I guess, and their sister didn't hear back from them, and they found them in park. They'd been torn apart. And as the story goes, they'd called in a special unit. There was a Black Hawk chopper circling around. They found something in the woods. The light stopped on it, and the residents that saw it reports a small alarm fire. And the same chopper dropped something down like a net and hauled something off and took off. So that's the Dixie Cryptid one. It would be one of those earlier ones that I'd heard that's in that area.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm responding to one of our listeners, our viewers right here. What I heard is actually, it's weird that we're talking about the LBL. I actually heard it this morning on a podcast I was listening to, something about a massacre, and I think you referred to it a little bit about, was there a family that was found massacred inside a camper?
Yeah, they dragged him out, and I guess they had found the remains of one of them actually up in a tree. It's been conflicting. What I've seen has been conflicting reports, but I believe it was sometime in the '90s.
Sometime in the '90s?
Yes, sir. From what I understand, but other than YouTube, I haven't heard much. But I could see a cover up if something like that actually did happen. It's a big touristy area, and I shouldn't want to go camping there. There's a big werewolf running around.
Yeah, that's what everybody's reporting. Just seeing some kind of werewolf, dog man type thing. What do you think about dog man? What's your personal opinion on it?
If you ever checked out my channel, 9517, I did a story. The story was recounted to me back in I guess it was in the late '90s. And there's a town called Dogtown. It's just river bottom, so it's not too far from where I'm at right now either. A friend of mine had a friend, and he was diagnosed with cancer and had been driving down there trying to clear his head and ran into a big wolf. The thing was, he was sitting there eating roadkill, and the guy the dog didn't move. When he got out of the car, it stood up on 2 legs and grabbed whatever was eating to the woods. And that's one of the few that I've heard. And then years later, me and my girlfriend went down there just out cruising, sit down and look at the stars. And for some reason, we got an argument. And I was sitting there in the car, locked out, like, middle of nowhere, scared, like, this is November, I'm cold. And she come running back and told me to get in some nasty words that she never really used. we tore out of there, and I finally got her calmed down, and she was like, I saw something. And she said it was big and it was black and it was staring behind a tree at me. And I really just dismissed it. And then, just a few days ago, a friend of mine was telling me that her and her mom saw one across the street back in 2017, not too far from here. So it makes me wonder. I mean, I believe the dog man is real, even though I encountered it. But, I
And
guess when
where
you
was
see
this
Bigfoot,
at?
it's a little place right outside Evansville called Dogtown.
And
It's
this is where
mostly
you and your girlfriend experienced this?
where she saw it. I didn't see anything, but I mean, she was pretty shaken up and scared, and she was kind of acting out of character. And we went down there quite a bit. She never wanted to go back again.
You can usually tell by someone's reaction if they're being truthful, especially you with the training that you've had as law enforcement. I would imagine you're a pretty good judge of whether or not someone's being honest with you. So I think that you would probably know if she saw something or not.
Yeah, she was shaking, and I mean, pale, pale, pale. Like, I got her home, got her calmed down, and she told me what she'd seen, and it was like, I really didn't know what to make of it because a lot of this I hadn't, I really didn't process real. It was just like, okay, well, why didn't you say something at the time? Or no, we had to get out. I, now I said a friend of mine's told me that not in that area that she had a dog man cross. And I was like, how'd you know it was a dog man? She's like, well, we saw it. My mom started researching it. She saw it too. And apparently this thing is it lost most of its hair, and what hair it had grazed. Makes you wonder if maybe it's the same thing. And if it's in Dogtown, there's really nothing out there but river camps and fields and a train yard. So I mean, it'd be a perfect place for something to hide back there.
Now this place is called Dogtown. I wonder where it got that name.
I don't know how much truth this is, but he told me that it was named by a French werewolf hunter after a Rougarou or way
Rougarou?
back. Yeah, Rougarou or Lougarou. That's what I was told, but I don't. Like I said, I don't know how much truth there is to that. I kind of took that with a grain of salt. Back in the 1700s, before this was even a territory, I believe. But yeah.
So, in your opinion, I know it's obviously speculation, but in your opinion, what is? I'm gonna ask you about both, but we'll start with Dogman. What do you think Dogman is?
Uh, Maybe an undiscovered species or a mutation that's gone through. I mean, somebody said, someone's suffering from lycanthropy. I mean, I don't know. I just try to keep an open mind on it. It's there's got to be some kind of truth to these werewolf legends, right? Always a kernel.
Oh yeah,
I mean, Bigfoot.
yeah. What do you think a Bigfoot is? That's probably the $1 million question right there. And
For me, I think it's a gorilla. I'm not a gorilla, but it's a hominid like us. It's probably, in my opinion, they're very close to human. They're smart. I think they're either an evolutionary thing that just they decided they saw how terrible we are to each other. Yeah, I'm gonna stay out here in the woods because they're very clever, in my opinion, and they just don't want any part with it. That's my thought on it. It could be something like spin off of Gigantopithecus. There's got to be some truth to it. Not only in the U.S., but over in the Himalayas, the Yeti. I believe America has one. There's one in Vietnam. There's just got to be some
everywhere. Every country in the world has some kind of report of something similar to it. There's got to be something out there. I'm in the same camp you are. I believe it's some type of hominoid. I believe that there could be human traces to it. I have been a big believer in this comes from my good friend Daryl Owen and stuff that he's shown me. I really think that Gigantopithecus is linked in there somewhere. From what I've seen that he's collected and people he's talked to, and stuff that it has something to do with Gigantopithecus. As far as Dogman, I have always, from the beginning, said that if there was a Dogman, if a Dogman is separate from Bigfoot, I think it's some kind of a shapeshifter, something to do with the Native Americans. That's been my belief, and I consider myself to be more of a biological thinker. I don't really go with the paranormal and the supernatural aspects of it, but I do believe that there's some weird stuff that goes on with Native Americans. I do believe they have powers and stuff, so I do believe that it could be some kind of a shapeshifter, but I do lean more toward a misidentified Bigfoot as a dog man.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody talks about these different categories of Bigfoot. There's these different kinds, and I don't dismiss that at all. I don't really understand where they get it, but if there are different kinds of Bigfoot, then it just makes sense that a dog man could be just a kind of one.
Yeah, maybe like a subspecies.
Exactly.
Maybe it's not even a dog man at all. Maybe it's like, we see baboons. They've got the big snout. Another, I don't know, some kind of evolutionary offshoot of, like I said, until we figure out, and actually get to study one, we're never going to know for sure.
Yeah, that's like we tell everybody on this show. Until we get the chance to study one, like you just said, the only way we're going to learn about these things is from talking to people like you, people that have had an eye on them and has experienced their behavior. That's why talking to people like you is so important.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, Sasquatch for me is really cool. I'm very glad I had the experiences I did. I don't consider them bad. They were a little off-putting. Dog man, I don't want to mess with one. I might go out to those areas and spotlight from my car, but I'm not sitting down in my car. And I don't know. It's just from the stories I've heard, it's terrifying. But in my thought, Bigfoot is just like us. There's good ones, there's bad ones. You catch bad, like rocks and stuff thrown there and takes off. We never know.
Yeah, just like buddy Mr. Duffy here says, thinks that the vicious ones, talking about Dogman, the vicious ones might be lab created and released by the government to feed in return. I've heard that a lot. I don't really have a whole lot to go on to base that on, but I've certainly heard it.
Have you heard of the crawlers?
No, what's that?
I just found out about not too long ago what they're actually like. They look like a rake. If you ever seen the movie The Descent, those things that live in the cave, I guess there's like humanoids, very skinny, pink. And I was talking to somebody about that, and they were telling me this. Well, what if the Dogman and the Sasquatch were there to keep their number? If they were their natural predators, because these things are supposed to be vicious and cannibalistic. What about?
You can keep going, man. He's just off camera.
First time online. Yeah, these crawlers are supposedly these rake-like creatures that live deep in the forest, and some people tried to link them to the missing 411. They're cannibalistic. I don't know. I haven't had any experience with it, but what if the Dogman and Sasquatch and some of these other feed on them and keep the numbers down from overrunning us? It's hard to tell.
Well, it's like a circle of life in anything. Animal kingdom and all that. Something.
Yeah.
You got different things.
Yeah, the rules of evolution. A lot of these things, like I said, I haven't seen or heard, but now since I've had my experience, I like to read up on it, and it's some things cool, some things are not. It's like, makes you think about it. What's actually out there we can't explain.
It's probably the first time I want to address this. I'm just gonna, and not towards you, but if I see another comment saying calling people somebody a name or our guest a name, I promise you will be kicked from the show. It'll be the last warning I'm telling anybody.
What are you talking about?
If I read this right, if I'm reading it right, it is. You can look at it. It's 8:49. I'm sorry, Joe, but that kind of hit me real big there. We've asked nicely not to be. I mean, and it could be just a comment, could be just opinion, and that's understandable. But it says, if you want to read it, I'll read it. It's at 8:49. It's Christina Murphy.
Well, read it.
And I know what the initials stand for. And that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is probably something we should have talked about off the air. But
Well,
y'all put it up there. I don't know what she's talking about. You're
well,
an asshole if you don't believe people who see a dog man. Any normal person knows the difference. Oh, that's directed at me. No, that's fine. That's fine. I don't. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not an asshole. Pretty nice guy. Pretty easy to get along with. But yeah, I mean that's my opinion. I mean, I'm not going to cuss anybody that disagrees
right.
with me. I'm going to call them a name.
That's why I kind of just I didn't. I'm not
It's fine.
off, so.
It's about my comment of a dog man being a misidentified Bigfoot.
I mean,
That's what I think.
We have enough people saying. I mean, that's people have identified them as the wrong thing. I mean, that's what it could be anything.
Calling me an asshole ain't going to change my mind. Anyway, I'm sorry about that, Joe. That's unprofessional.
Sorry, Joe. I've warned them. I've warned people. Say, hey, look, this is a show that we're trying to be friendly. If you want to cuss on here, we're not going to have it. It's almost to me, it's considered like bullying. I mean, if you want to do that, then do it privately, message somebody and say, do it that way.
Yeah, it's fine.
I apologize to everybody. That just jumped out, and I'm just not going to stand for it. I mean, it's just for any of our guests, or even if for partner or anybody.
Yeah. What's your opinion on the transdimensional Bigfoot, the cloaking and all that? I've heard stuff, but I'm not really sure what I think about it. What do you think?
Yeah, that's something else that I'm not real sure about either. The cloaking and the going in and out of different dimensions and portals and stuff like that. I don't know what to make of all that stuff. That's why I tend to stay on the more biological side. Like I said, it's a flesh and blood animal. We found DNA. We found blood. We found scat. We found Bigfoot poop. So that tells what does that tell us? That tells us that these things eat. That they drink. We've seen them at watering holes. They sleep. There's reports of people seeing them sleeping. So if they're in different dimensions and stuff, wouldn't they wouldn't have to do that stuff here, right?
Yeah, why would you bother? You're not going to bother me while I'm sleeping. I'll hop on back over there. But I don't know. A lot of these theories they're different, but I don't see anything negative about them because I don't know. But yeah, I'm more on the flesh and blood animal that it's a living creature.
Yeah, some people think the whole UFO. They come from outer space, and I don't know what to think about that. I mean, what proof do we have to make us think that they're coming off of a spaceship? I mean, has anybody ever seen that? I haven't heard it.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thought, but I don't know how much stock I put into it myself personally.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned your YouTube channel earlier. You want to tell everybody about that, where they can find you?
Yeah, I'm at 9517 Films. Got a few of these. I've got my encounter. I've got the Dogman story. I've put a few other stories that I just wrote just to put them out there. And then the rest of it's pretty much cars and guns. So you're welcome to check it out. Appreciate any support you can come my way. You can check out the Ghost of the Forest on Facebook. It's a buddy group. It's mostly hunting and camping, but we do touch on some of the supernatural things and those particularly Bigfoot and Sasquatch. So definitely give it a check out. I'm sure my buddy Shane Morton would really dig it and appreciate it.
Okay, what's that name again? Repeat it for the people.
Ghost of the Forest on Facebook and 9517 Films on YouTube.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Joe. I appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate you taking the time out, coming and hanging out with us tonight, and sharing a couple of stories. And we got to see a side of walls that I hadn't seen very often. Got a little heated there for a minute, but apologize for that.
If you try to do something and you know people breaking the rules, I don't blame anyone one bit.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
That might be the first time.
If you decide to head towards LBL or something, holler at me and
Okay.
I'm gonna meet you and hang out. And if you guys find yourself, definitely give me a holler.
Yeah. Someone's asking, what was the name of 1977 Films? What's it called on YouTube?
9517.
9517.
Yeah, it was actually my call number when I was still a police officer. So.
Okay, 9517 Films. Okay.
Yes,
All right, buddy. Yeah, absolutely. If we get up that way, you're one of them that I'll definitely holler at, buddy. We'll find us a campfire and get behind it.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, buddy. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, you gotta calm down, little buddy. You're gonna have a stroke. Have a stroke right before your birthday.
Nah.
I didn't even see that, man. I haven't seen her back on here. Did she leave?
She commented later on, Tom. She answered back, I think.
I didn't see.
Yeah, said 853, nothing personal, 2 legs as opposed to 4 legs. Which I commented back, so it's okay.
All right.
But I definitely want to step out, say that I got to take from Daryl, and it was saying that his condolence to Ashley and Jacob's family. That's the Alabama Bigfoot research from them and everything. He sent me a text to kind of put it out there. I'm not sure what the news is. I'm sure it's probably bad news, but I was giving that condolence from Daryl and his wife. I guess he knows him, I believe, don't
he? If I remember correctly, she does the Alabama Cryptid or whatever podcast. She invited Daryl to be a guest on her show.
Oh, he just told me she passed away.
She just passed away a couple of nights ago. Yeah.
Oh well, all condolence from Mannimal too. I mean, wow.
Absolutely. I did want to get to that. I was actually going to try to get a little more info on it before I did it, but I'm glad you brought it up because it just happened like a day or so ago, from what I understand.
Wow.
I believe she had a heart attack, and gosh, she was young. She wasn't. I don't think she was very old at all. I don't know. We need to look into it. And what was the name of her group?
That's the Alabama Bigfoot Research. Alabama Bigfoot Research. Yeah.
Yeah, she did a show kind of similar to ours, kind of a live platform where she had guests on, and she had just asked Daryl Owen to come on her show and talk for a little bit, and then we find out that she has passed away from a heart attack. So our thoughts and prayers, condolences go out to her family, and just guys, hope you can stay strong through this. It's a difficult time, but thoughts are with you.
Yeah, that's our backyard. Alabama's right down there in the backyard. So.
Yeah, it's really close, and who knows? In the future, we could have worked together. Because we're so close.
Yeah.
Probably could have done something together. So that's sad. That's sad. Hate to hear that. But appreciate you bringing it up. All right, buddy. You got anything else before we get out of here?
Not much, man. I hope everybody be safe, be good. I'm part sorry about my outbreak, but I've got enough warnings. We've got enough warnings about it, so I'm gonna stand up for anybody in the chat. So it's not just Wayne. It's not just our guests. It's for anybody. But it's okay.
All right.
Everybody be safe and be good, and hopefully have a good week this week. And definitely be safe out here.
All right, everybody. Yeah, just like our buddy Wall said, everybody be good, be safe, and be good to each other, guys. God bless you all, and we will see you soon. Bye, guys.